There's an old minig that's brought already in the time of the Rishonim, that on the night of Hoshana Rabba, people would go out, and they would go out into the moonlight, and they would look at the shadows that were created by them standing in the moonlight. And if the shadow was whole, then it means that it was a good simon for their life, they were going to have a good year. If the shadow was not whole, they knew that it was going to be a bad year. That was the minig that was brought already in the time of the Rishonim, the Abu Dram and many others. The Rokeach brings also a very clear idea that whatever was decreed on Rosh Hoshana, whatever was sealed on Yom Kippurim, is very visible in the shadow of Hoshana Rabba. Why? What is it about tonight, Hoshana Rabba, that makes it so important, so choshev? I sent a message out to the Olam. Rabbi said it's Hoshana Rabba tonight, choshev a night. We have a Sudas Mitzvah, we had a learning Seder, we have a Kumsitz now. What is it about tonight? What is so special about Hoshana Rabba? So Rabbi said, I'd like to spend a few minutes so perhaps you can understand a bit more about what is Hoshana Rabba. What is it all about? And maybe more importantly, what can we accomplish on Hoshana Rabba? So it's brought down that on the night of Hoshana Rabba, the allotment of water and parnasa is sealed. So the malachim look at a person's shadow and they say, Pliny anyway isn't going to live. We don't need to give him parnasa. So there's something in the shadow of a person which nowadays we don't do that. We don't look into our shadows. We don't understand what it means. But it represents the severeness of the night, the severeness of Hoshana Rabba. The Shulchan Aruch in Siman Tofrei Samach Daled brings down, and we have it right over here, Marbe Ktsas B'neiros K'mo Yom Kippurim. It's a lashon of the Shulchan Aruch that we're Marbe Neiros, we add Neiros because it's almost like Yom Kippur. The Ramah brings down something unusual, something that he doesn't normally say. The Ramah says Madaktakin, go to the mikvah on Hoshana Rabba before Alois. The Mishnah Berurah says perhaps it's better for a person to go before night so he can learn the Kedusha, the Tahara, which is where the Mishnah Berurah brings the minig of staying up the whole night to learn the whole night Hoshana Rabba. Rabbi says Hoshana Rabba is a gewaldige night. It's a night that carries with it so much. We have to understand why. So the Ben Ish Chai brings us as follows. The Ben Ish Chai, which is based on an Arizal. The Arizal, which if you want to look it up, is in Shara Kavanas, in Sukkah Drush Vav. Ben Ish Chai brings down what happens on Leil Hoshana Rabba. Zug the Ben Ish Chai, b'shem the Arizal, that he says that on Yom Kippur, the chasima, the sealing that was done on Yom Kippurim isn't actually given out yet. It's only given out on Hoshana Rabba. So everything we worked hard for on Rosh Hashanah, and maybe perhaps even before that during Elul, and Aseret Simei Tshuva, and Yom Kippur, and Ne'ilah, whatever was written, whatever was signed, whatever was sealed, it's done. But it hasn't been given over yet. And if it hasn't been given over yet, it means, as the Ben Ish Chai, that we have an opportunity to change it. We have an opportunity to change it because it hasn't yet been given out. That's what's going on today in Hoshana Rabba. That's what's happening tonight, on this gewaldige night, on this whole day of Hoshana Rabba. The Bnei Yissaschar, Heilige Bnei Yissaschar, says a very similar idea. He says, why do we call it Hoshana Rabba? Zogt the Bnei Yissaschar, the day of the Gemara Chasima comes from the word Hosha, no, nun aleph at the end. Why? Hosha, we beg the Rabbeinu Shalom to accept our crying, to accept our tefillahs, no, nun aleph, which is the gematria of 51, because from Rosh Chodesh Elul until tonight, There are 51 days that we're able to get over and be given over the seal, which was written on Rosh Hoshana and sealed on Yom Kippur. Which means that it's all happening tonight. Reb Tzaddik HaKohen in Pri Tzaddik asks, what is this? What's going on over here? This tza'aka gedola. He says any yeshua that a person needs, he can accomplish on Hoshana Rabba, the koyach of tefillah. On Hoshana Rabba, the Hoshanas is the arava. The Gemara tells us is doimet to the lip. The lip is something that's long. It's something that's doimet to tefillah. The lip speaks, it davens, it prays, it begs. That's what's happening today. Now, by the way, tonight is also the Shpizin of David HaMelech. Shpizin of David HaMelech, we know David HaMelech was crying out constantly to the Rabbeinu Shalom, and which is why many people finish Sefer Tehillim over the next 24 hours. He say Tehillim over now, Hoshana Rabba, David HaMelech, so Shpizin, it's Hoshanas, it's the Zman of giving out. That's why we say get kvittel, because the kvittel, the petek, the piece of paper that everything was written, signed and sealed is being given out. It's interesting, by the way, there's no mention in the Torah anywhere that Hoshana Rabbah is a day of judgment, a serious day. We don't find such a thing. Yeah, in the Beis Hamikdash, they went around the Mizbeach, so we do the same thing tomorrow morning. We go around the Bima 7 times with our Hoshanas. Okay, fine, we do things similar, but there's nothing written that Hoshana Rabbah is a holy day, it's a din day, it's a judgment day. What's going on? So there's a Mordechai Yavitz. The Yavitz, Rabbi Yaakov Emden, says like this. Says the Yavitz, when Adam HaRishon did the very first Aveira, Adam HaRishon sinned against the Rabbeinu Shalom. The Rabbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol got into conversation with him. How did the Rabbeinu Shalom start the conversation with Adam HaRishon? Ayeka, where are you? That was the Lashon of the Torah in Parashas Bereshis. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol, as she says, just like sort of wanted to start the conversation. Of course, the Rabbeinu Shalom knew where Adam HaRishon was. Ayeka, where are you? HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew where Adam HaRishon was. But it was a way of starting a conversation. Says the Yavitz, Rabbi say it's a hint. Says the Yavitz to the 3 days of judgment. Number 1, Aleph in Ayaka. Aleph is Aleph Tishrei, which of course is Rosh Hoshana. So the Yavitz Yud is Yud Tishrei, which of course is Yom Kippur. Chaf is the 20 days of Tishrei, which comes afterwards, and after that you got the Hay, which is Hoshana Rabbah. Which means, says the Yavitz, Rabbi Yaakov Emden, we have over here something very, very important. We have a raya to what was said over there, that the Torah is hinting to us the 3 Yemei Din, Hoshana Rabbah, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, with the word Ayeka, where are you? You know why? Because just like on Rosh Hashanah, and just like on Yom Kippur, and just like today, we also have to ask ourselves, Ayeka, where are we? Where are we in ourselves? Where are we in our Yiddishkeit? Where are we in our Avas Hashem, in our Dveikus to Hashem, in our Tefillah? Where are we in our Avas HaMitzvahs, in our Diktuk mitzvahs? Where are we in our Yiddishkeit, in our connection to Rabbeinu Shem HaYekus, with the Yavitz, Rabbi Yaakov Emden? Rosh Hashanah we ask the Kasha, Yom Kippur we ask the Kasha, and Hoshana Rabbah we can also ask the Kasha. Ayeka, where are we? That is something that we need to ask. Tonight, Rabbi Isai, the Shpizin of David HaMelech, where the Parokim of Tehillim, we know, one of the Parokim of Tehillim we say, and we started saying already, Rosh Chodesh Elul, the David Hashem Oivi V'Yishi, and we say it literally just one more day to Shmini Atzeres. What does it mean? What does it mean? Let's understand it for a moment. Rabbi Zil Tauber Zatzal once said over that he was asked to speak in a prison to a bunch of inmates, and he sat down with the inmates and he said, tell me, if I give you a piece of paper, and I say, what do you want? Ask for anything. Write down whatever you want, any request. I'll give it to you. You'll get whatever you ask for. What would you ask for? That's what Rabbi Tauber asked in the prison from the inmates. And one clever guy said, you know what I'll ask for? I'll ask for another piece of paper. There's so much that we have to ask for. There's so much that we want. There's so much that we need in our tefillahs, that we beg the Rabbeinu Shalom. David HaMelech said, I don't need another piece of paper. David HaMelech said, Acha sha'alti me'eis Hashem. I want one thing. That's all I want. I want nothing else in the world. Shifti beveis Hashem koli mechai. That's all. I just want to live with the Rabbeinu Shalom. David HaMelech understood, and David HaMelech understood perhaps more than anybody else, because he was on the run for much of his life, that wherever life takes us, whatever situation we're in, we always want to be Shifti beveis Hashem. We want to be in the presence of the Rabbeinu Shalom. We want to feel the presence of the Rabbeinu Shalom. We want to be Bebeis Hashem, whether in the Beis Medrash, in the Beis HaKnesses, in the office, in the warehouse, on the street, in the car, on the train, whatever it is that we're doing. We want to daven that same tefillah. Rabbi said we don't need another piece of paper. We need Acha Sha'alti Me'ez Hashem. We just ask one thing. Shifti Bebeis Hashem. We want to live wherever we are, whatever we do, wherever life takes us, together with the Rabbeinu Shalom. Now David HaMelech understood that the Rabbeinu Shalom is everywhere. We know the Rabbeinu Shalom is Molei Kol Ha'olam. The Rabbeinu Shalom fills the whole world. So what does that mean? What do you mean Shifti Bebeis Hashem? It meant he wants to feel it. And that's our tefillah tonight. Our tefillah tonight is the same thing. On one of the last days we say, David Hashem Oy V'Yishi, Acha Sha'alti Me'ez Hashem, Shifti Bebeis Hashem. We beg from the Rabbeinu Shalom. We want to feel it. We know Rabbeinu Shalom, you're here. We know you're in our lives. We know that you're orchestrating everything. We want to feel it. We want to live with you. We want to understand where you're coming from. We want to understand what you want from us. The Rambam writes in Moreh Nevuchim, Chelik Daled Perek Nun Beis, and it's brought down in the Ramon, beginning of Orach Chaim, Siman Aleph. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi somit hu klal godel b'Torah. When a person, says the Ramah, the Mishabur explains, when a person is in front of the Melech Malchei Amlochim, when a person is in front of Lahavdol of Avtolos, even a human king, he acts differently. You don't act the same way when you're in front of the king as you act in your house. It's just not how it works. Zuk the Ramah, that's why Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tomid means I want to constantly feel you, Rabbeinu Shalom. I want to feel your presence. I want to feel everything about you so that my actions in my life are very different. That is what David HaMelech is teaching us. And that's what he's davening for. One time, the Kabishner Rebbe came to visit Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Kabishner Rebbe was an elderly Yid. Shlomo Zalman wasn't young, but he was younger. And when he finished the meeting, so the Rebbe started to walk out, his taxi was being called, and Shlomo Zalman went to accompany the Rebbe. And the Kabishner Rebbe saw that his taxi hadn't arrived, so he waited. So Shlomo Zalman said, wait a minute, I'm going to run in the house, I'm going to get a chair. The Rebbe can't sit and wait, it's not covered, he's an elderly man. The Rebbe said, absolutely not, please don't. Shlomo Zalman said, why? I'm younger than you, please, it's covered for me, no, absolutely not. And when he asked, again, Shlomo Zalman said, Rebbe, why? The Rebbe explained, I'll tell you why. Because in my whole life, I always imagine everything I'm doing, saying, listening to, whatever it is being videoed by the Rabbeinu Shalom in Shamayim. How does it look in Shamayim that they're videoing Reb Shlomo Zalman bringing a chair for me? He's the God of Lador. I can't do such a thing. Reb Shlomo Zalman, for years later, repeated the story, and he said, look what it is to live with the Rabbeinu Shalom. Look what it is to be Shavisa Hashem Lenegdi Tomei, to constantly be in the gadlus of the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's what's going on over here, and that's what we're asking for over here as well. And Lahavdol Elef Avdolos, if you want to go into a king, a human flesh and blood king, you can't just walk in. It's not how it works. Even Hoshana people only can get in sometimes. The Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim is telling us that every Yid always can be like David HaMelech, can beg and can accomplish that Shivisi Hashem Lenegdi Tomid, that I can always be constantly with the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's the Mailer of a Yid. The Mailer of Yid is we can always be with the Rabbeinu Shalom. We're together with Hashem. That's what we're doing in the Sukkah. That's why we invite the Ushpiz and Daft on the Yontiv of Sukkahs, because in our Sukkah, with all the Kedusha which is attached to our house, which is by all of the things that we do on a regular weekday, we can be Mala the Kedusha in a tremendous way. Rabbi say, Yesh Koino Elomo B'Sha'achas. Everyone, we know the Gemara tells us in Avodah Zarah Daf Yud, you can be Koino the world in one moment. Yesh Koino Elomo B'Sha'achas. In one moment, you can Koino your entire Olam Haba. So some understand what does that to mean. It's almost like a parent tells their child, I need you to do this for me. I need you to go to sleep. I need you to get this for me. I need whatever it is. I'm going to count to 10. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this. I'm going to count to 10, and by the time I get to 10, you're going to have done it, right? So you start counting as a parent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when you get to 8, you realize they're not doing it. If you're a good parent, you're going to slow down because you want the child to be successful. You want him to fulfill. You want him to do it. So you're going to be like, okay, 8 1/4. 8 1/2, 8 3/4, 9 1/4. You're going to slow down because you want him to get it. You want him to work. Rabbi say, Hoshana Rabba is when the Rabbeinu Shalom slows the counting. As the Rabbeinu Shalom said, I gave you an Elul, I gave you Rosh Hoshana, I gave you Yom Kippur, I gave you Ne'ilah. I know, but you didn't do it yet. So let's slow the counting to make sure that you're still going to get there. So yes, we had the Rosh Hoshana and Yom Kippur, but the Ma'aseh comes Hoshana Rabba. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yesh koina olama b'sha'a achas. In a moment, you could be koina everything. By the way, Yesh koina olama b'sha'a achas. Sha'a means literally a moment. That's what it means. Person could be koina his olama b'sha'a achas, in one moment. But there's another meaning as well, and that sha'a also means, as Rais in Parshas Noach, wanted. It means wanted. The Sfas Emes says a beautiful explanation. The Sfas Emes says that's the secret of Hoshana Rabbah. The secret of Hoshana Rabbah is the root of Hoshana, which is sha'ah, which means all we have to do today is want. That's it. All we have to do is want. Even at the final moment, we can change. Shlomo Magid once said that it's a minig we know tomorrow morning to take off the tabas, the rings of the lulav that we have the entire yontav. We take off the rings on Hoshana Rabbah. Why do we do that? Walk around the bima. So the Rebbe, because it's compared to a color that's waiting for a chassan. She's waiting for the ring. She wants the chasna. She wants to get married. It hasn't happened yet. We're walking around the bima tomorrow with alulavim, with no rings, and we're saying, Rabbeinu Shalom, we have nothing. We have no wedding. We have no food. We have no band. We have no chasna. We have nothing. We're empty, and we beg Rabbeinu Shalom, give us something. How can you turn us away? We should be zoicha be'ez Hashem. This is Hoshana Rabbah. Let's use the moments. We got a beautiful kumzitz here, a beautiful oilam over here. Let's sing together, Rabbi Isai. We've got a few hours of singing. Got surprise singers in Mitzvah Hashem on their way, coming Be'ez Hashem. Close your eyes. Take a few moments. In a few moments, Be'ez Hashem, a person be koina everything. We should be zoicha Be'ez Hashem to a git kvittel and a year of simchas, Abbas HaTorah and Yirah Shamayim and all of the brachas Be'ez Hashem.